Welcome to episode 22 of the Animorphs read-along broadcast. Today we are talking about, drumroll please, book number 19, The Departure. This book is just an emotional sledgehammer. Like, I tear up sometimes reading a book, but I was crying tears, they were streaming down my face. So there's been a pretty significant buildup of Cassie, I think starting around book 16, really having issues with being an Animorph. And now all of that buildup is getting some payoff because Cassie quits the Animorphs. I was so deeply offended by this when I was a kid. How could you quit? The conversation where the gang confronts Cassie and they're like, are you for real about this? And she's basically like, yes, is so real. Truth bombs falling left and right. When they started all of this, Cassie said something along the lines of, I can't just do nothing. If there's people in slavery, I have to fight. But that sentiment has changed. Cassie doesn't like the fact that she's becoming desensitized to violence. She doesn't like that she killed a Hork-Bajir. She doesn't like that she killed a Triceratops in the last book. She doesn't like what's happening to her, so her solution is to quit. Everyone accuses her of being selfish and naive and deluded, and they're kind of right. Marco says, fine, you have your morals and your fine feelings and all that. We'll go off and risk our lives to save the world. You just sit here and feel righteous. Rachel says, see, you've just said the whole world can drop dead so long as you, Cassie, don't have to end up turning into me. Damn. It's tough because I understand why Cassie's doing this, but at the same time, she is being wildly selfish right now. Up until this point, the Yeerks have been a very black and white enemy. This is the first time we see a different perspective. Aftran, the Yeerk who is infesting the little girl Karen, says, we have a right to live. It's what we are. We're parasites, you humans are predators. You think being a predator is morally superior to being a parasite? At least the host bodies we take remain alive. Yeerks are parasites. They evolved to have host bodies. That's just the reality. There are Yeerks who don't think they should take involuntary hosts, and there are Yeerks who are just caught up in all of this mess. When Aftran figures out that Cassie is a human who can morph, that's game over for the Animorphs. If Aftran ever takes that information back to any Yeerks, the series would end. So Cassie's in this really horrible, difficult position because she knows the only way to save her friends is to kill Aftran, but she can't bring herself to do it because Aftran is in the body of this little girl. She was taking some huge risks by letting this Yeerk live, and not just risking her own life, but risking the lives of all the Animorphs. Cassie and Marco really act as foils of each other in this book. Marco is very logical, he's rational, he's a realist, he's pragmatic. And so the minute he stumbles on Cassie and Aftran in the woods, he's like, there's only one way this is going to end. He doesn't like it, but he'll do it. While Cassie has to angst and feel bad and deliberate and go in circles, Marco skips all that. Whenever Marco stumbles upon them in the woods and he watches Cassie let herself get infested, it's unbelievable. She's risking everything on the slim chance that she can change one Yeerk. She makes an agreement with Cassie. If you will commit to the kind of life that I would have to live, then I will give up my host and just live in the Yeerk pool and never take a human host again. And the truly incredible thing is that Cassie does it. She morphs the caterpillar and she stays for 2 hours. Cassie may be foolish and idealistic, but she's also incredibly selfless and incredibly brave. And she's willing to make the ultimate sacrifice just on a gamble that this Yeerk is going to follow through for her. What Cassie's done in this book is undeniably beautiful, but she also put her friends in a really tough spot. I mean, there's a moment where Jake basically tells Marco to kill Cassie if he has to. The gang ends up finding Aftran. She tells them about the agreement she made with Cassie. They're deciding whether to let Aftran live or die. And Jake says, I guess sometimes you have to choose between smart, sane ruthlessness and totally stupid, insane hope. You can't just pick one and stick with it either. Each time it comes up, you have to try and make your best decision. Most of the time, I guess I have to go with being smart and sane. But I don't want to live in a world where people don't try the stupid, crazy, hopeful things sometimes. This book doesn't mean they're never going to kill again, but it does mean that there's hope for something more than violence and fighting, and that's ultimately why and how Cassie makes her way back. Because at the end of the day, all the reasons that Cassie got into this fight are still there. So like, thank God Aftran picked a caterpillar and not like an earthworm or a slug, because caterpillars turn into butterflies, and whenever that happens, the 2-hour clock resets and Cassie's able to return to her own body. Even though the Animorphs are going to go about their business and keep doing their thing, this book taught us that the Yeerks are capable of empathy and that they're not universally evil, which is a big deal because up until this point they have been. Those are all my thoughts about Animorphs number 19, The Departure. The next book is book number 20, The Discovery, and it is part 1 of the epic trilogy 2021 and 22. If you want to keep up with this read along, subscribe to this channel or follow me on Twitter, and I will see you on Thursday.